So today I wanted to make a quick video going over how to build a system. I have so many videos kind of showing how to build a system or showing other people's systems. And the way I break it down, I feel like I'm showing how to build it, but I just wanted to make a video outlining exactly in my own words directly how to do it since I get that question so much. I'm going to use Tamir Osher to highlight this, but all the system is this. You had a guy who was more than likely temporarily one-dimensional regarding a single technique. He hit that technique all the time, even sometimes he even forced that technique even when it wasn't there. And over time, he realized, hey, when people try to defend this technique, rather they scouted him and they had a game plan for him, they typically use the same two, maybe three defenses to prevent me getting to that technique. And they use maybe the same one or two defenses once I get to that position in order to prevent me from scoring from that position, right? Or going feet to back if it is a feet to back technique that is their primary technique. Then they go back to their coach or themselves, or they go to YouTube and they see what techniques can I use when they defend my primary technique like this. And eventually they just build a web of techniques of three, four, maybe even five different techniques that they use all centered around their primary technique. And it's not that complicated, but you have to commit yourself to one technique first. The problem is you guys try to build a system all at the same time. Psychologically, it's just not going to work that way. You don't want to start off when you're trying to build the primary technique. You don't want to have the secondary technique in your pocket just yet. You want to have a moment of time in your wrestling career where you're hyper focused on this one move, and that's how you get really good at getting into that position. If there's a certain position that you need to get to in order to hit this technique, and that's how you get really good at and that's how you learn the different reactions that you're going to have from your opponents when you hit that technique. Tamir Osher is a great example of this, and Tanner Cook, Austin DeSanto, Don Demons, all these guys that I've done systematic videos on, then they've done this, right? So they're good examples. But Tamir Osher is really easy to show. He got really good at the side hip toss. In order to hit a side hip toss the way he does it, or I'm pretty sure anyway, honestly, is you need to get into the over-under position. That is the position you need to get to. He hit this move against everyone, absolutely everyone. Doesn't matter what your accolades were. If he got to the over-under, he was trying to hit this move against you. And it's a low-risk feet-to-back move, so it garnered even more respect from his opponents because no one wants to get pinned, right? And even if you don't get pinned, no one wants to give up a 4-point move, or in folk style now, it's a 7-point move. So I believe it's a great technique, but that's not what this video is about. It can be around any technique, or almost any technique you can build a system around. So because of the position he needed to be in to hit the technique, the over-under, the two main ways people are going to try to take away his ability to hit a hip toss is they're going to take away his underhook or his overhook, right? Most people's first instinct is to take away his underhook, right? Because they already have an underhook on the opposite side. They typically try to keep that and maybe try to just get rid of the other guy's underhook, aka Tamir Osher's underhook, right? And the main way they do this is they try to pummel in if he already has the position, or they keep their elbow in and have an inside tie to block him from underhooking, or they'll just block it. And he eventually developed the arm spin. So on the freestyle basis, the arm spin is almost just as dangerous as the hip toss because you're still going feet to back. Now, he isn't likely to get a pin from that position, but he can get a pin from this position. He did it against Ono, who I just did like 4 videos on, who everybody loves, this year. So this wasn't 5 years ago. This was this year at the Asian Championships. He tried to go over under. Ono blocked it. He went arm spin, and he pinned Ono in the match. He's also done the arm spin to world champion Zane Rutherford. He did it to world champion, I believe, Shakaya from Russia, but I can't be misremembering that. I believe that was at the Ivan Urigan after the dude was already a world champion. He also did it to 4-time NCAA champion Yanni Akamahales. He can do the arm spin to anybody. So a lot of guys watch this film, and rather that it was a conscious decision to not try to pummel in and block the underhook, or they simply weren't able to get rid of his underhook. Guys started to notice that, hey, I can get rid of his overhook. So funny enough, it's actually pretty easy to get rid of somebody's overhook, like tricep grip overhook, because you can just take your underhook out. And a lot of times guys take their underhook out, and what they do with their hand is they actually grab your elbow, and they're using the elbow tie to do that. Here's a clip of Mark Hall doing it to Trent Hodley. Trent Hodley was in the over-under position, and Markov simply took out his underhook and grabbed Trent's elbow tie. So now Trent didn't have an over-under. However, he just developed a technique for that position as well, because once they do that, what does Terrell O'Shea have? He has an underhook and an inside tie. And I have an entire video on different techniques to hit from the underhook inside tie position. But the technique he always does is the double leg. Now, it can be a straight on like double. It can be like a duck double where you duck and then you just grab both legs and finish with a double. But either way, he's hitting the double leg because you've already beat their head hands defense when you have an underhook and an inside tie. So it's actually pretty easy to access their legs. So now he has a mini system, right? Over under, he hits the hip toss. If you block the underhook, he goes arm spin. If you try to block or take out his overhook or get rid of his overhook, then he goes double leg. That is how you build a system, guys. You need a primary technique and then their reactions. Because if you get good at this technique, people are going to react to block it. Even before you get good at the technique, people are going to react to block it because they're wrestling you back, right? But once you get really good at this technique, people are going to game plan for you, and you will be able to hit that technique. You won't be able to hit that technique as often. And all you do is, it's the same reactions, guys. If you go back and watch your film, if you record your matches, you should be recording your matches, by the way. If you have that marquee technique, guys are going to avoid it the same 2, 3, maybe 4 ways, depending on the technique. But it's typically the same 2, 3 ways based on the films that I see of people trying to block someone's technique. Just take this time to build another technique for when they do that. Don't want to run on too much, but last example I'm going to use is Austin Santo. Whenever he grabs your tricep, he's going to grab your tricep, right? His hand fighting is built around his hitting his dump. So he's going to grab your tricep, man. I'm going to do a different video on hand fighting and how we need to work backwards with hand fighting, not the way that 75% of coaches do it. Maybe that'd be my next video or one of my next videos. But however, when he grabbed your tricep, he wanted you to either underhook him or he wanted you to grab his elbow and give him an inside tie, because that's what he needed to hit his dump. A lot of people stop grabbing his arm and they will just collar tie him. And what will happen is, even when they collar tie him, he still has that same tricep grip, the same grip on the arm. But when they collar tie him, at first he wasn't able to do anything. But eventually, in his later years, he developed what I would consider to be the best, or one of the best, elbow pass high crotches in the NCAA during his time in college. And he will high crotch everybody. If you collar tie him, if you grab his neck, he will elbow pass straight into a leg attack. And he was super, super good at that. That's how you build a system, guys. So whatever technique you want to do this with, double, low single, high crotch, head and side single, doesn't really matter too much. Obviously, some techniques are better than others. But go on, build a system. In my opinion, to build a good system, you need to be temporarily one-dimensional, just temporarily. And eventually, once you get that honed in, because it doesn't take that long if you're really studying film, if you're paying attention, if you're having intentional practice, and you're not just doing reps to say you did reps. If you're being intentional, if you have good coaching, it doesn't take that long to get good at that one single technique, and then you can start branching off. I talk about this all the time in your Goat Academy. I will leave the link below. It's a one-time payment of $100. You get access to 10 courses where I talk about building systems and everything of that nature, as well as access to an exclusive community. I'm working on 2 courses at the moment that I'm going to add, hopefully before the end of the year, regarding the duck under and a bottom course as well. I have a top course in the community already. That top course is honestly like 4 different courses put into one. If I wanted to break it up, I could, but it's all in there anyways together. So thank you for staying to the end of the video, and I will see you guys on the next one.